CptsLogs, the new tipping culture in the year 2024. Hello, it's the Jamaican Bacon again. In the United States, tipping has long been a way to show appreciation for good service. Traditionally, we've tipped for specific services, leaving a few dollars for the waiter at a restaurant, a couple of bucks for the pizza delivery person, or rounding up the fare for a taxi ride. It was a straightforward practice. You tipped when someone provided a service that went beyond the basic transaction. But in 2024, tipping culture has evolved, or some might say spiraled, into something quite different. Today, it feels like we're being asked to tip for almost everything. Whether you're grabbing a quick coffee at Starbucks, ordering a burger from the drive-thru, or even just picking up a takeout order, it seems that the expectation to tip is now everywhere. The digital age, with its touchscreens and payment apps, has made it easier than ever to add a gratuity with the tap of a finger. But has it also made tipping feel more like an obligation than a choice? The expansion of tipping expectations. In the past, tipping was primarily reserved for situations where service played a significant role in your experience. For example, a waiter at a restaurant who refills your drink, checks in on your meal, and generally ensures that you have a pleasant dining experience, was someone you tipped because their service directly impacted your enjoyment. The same goes for bartenders, hotel bellhops, and taxi drivers, where personal interaction and service were key components of the transaction. However, as we've moved further into the 21st century, the range of services where tipping is expected has expanded dramatically. Now, even when there's minimal or no personal interaction, such as ordering at a fast food counter or picking up a mobile order, customers are still prompted to leave a tip. In many cases, the option to tip is presented before the service is even rendered, making it feel more like a mandatory fee than a reward for good service. Technology's role in the new tipping culture. One of the driving forces behind this shift is technology. With the rise of digital payment platforms and point-of-sale systems, tipping has become more prominent and, some might say, more aggressive. When you're paying for your coffee at the local cafe, the cashier might flip the payment screen toward you, and there it is, a prompt asking if you'd like to tip 15%, 20%, or even 25% on your $4 latte. The convenience of these systems is undeniable, but it also puts pressure on the customer to add a gratuity, even when the service provided doesn't seem to warrant it. This new tipping culture has been met with mixed reactions. Some people feel that it's an extension of showing appreciation for workers, many of whom are in low-wage jobs where tips can make a significant difference. Others, however, feel that tipping should be reserved for instances where exceptional service is provided, not just for routine transactions. The line between what constitutes a tip-worthy service and what doesn't has become increasingly blurred. The pressure to tip as tipping becomes more ubiquitous. It's also becoming more socially pressured. The act of tipping has traditionally been about rewarding good service, but now it often feels like something we're compelled to do out of obligation or guilt. With a cashier or barista standing right in front of you, it's easy to feel awkward or even judged if you choose the no-tip option on the screen. For many consumers, this shift has led to tipping fatigue. It's not that people don't want to tip, it's that the constant expectation to tip for even the most basic services can feel overwhelming. And with inflation driving up the cost of goods and services, the added expense of tipping on nearly every transaction can add up quickly. The impact on workers. Of course, the other side of the tipping debate is the impact on workers. In many service industries, wages are low, and tips make up a substantial portion of workers' income. For baristas, fast food workers, and others in similar roles, tips can provide much-needed financial support. In this sense, the expansion of tipping culture can be seen as a way to help workers who might otherwise struggle to make ends meet. However, relying on tips to supplement wages raises its own set of issues. It can create income instability for workers, who may find themselves earning significantly less on slow days or during off-peak hours. Additionally, the expectation of tips can sometimes lead to tension between workers and customers, especially when customers feel that the service provided doesn't justify a gratuity. Navigating the new tipping norms. So how should we navigate this new tipping culture in 2024? The answer isn't straightforward, but it starts with recognizing that tipping, at its core, is a personal decision. While the prompts and expectations to tip may have increased, It's ultimately up to each individual to decide when and how much to tip. If you feel that the service you receive deserves recognition, by all means, tip generously. If, however, you're faced with a tipping prompt for a service that required little to no personal interaction, don't feel obligated to tip out of guilt or pressure. It's important to consider your own financial situation and the context of the service provided. For businesses, it's worth considering how tipping prompts are presented to customers. While it's essential to support employees, it's also important not to alienate customers by making them feel pressured or uncomfortable. Finding a balance between encouraging tips and respecting the customer's choice is key. Conclusion. The tipping culture in the United States has evolved significantly, with tipping now expected in a broader range of scenarios than ever before. While this shift has its benefits, particularly for workers, it has also led to increased pressure on consumers and a growing sense of tipping fatigue. As we continue to navigate this new landscape, it's important to remember that tipping should remain a voluntary act of appreciation, one that reflects the value of the service provided. Whether you choose to tip or not, the decision should always be yours. CptsLogs, the Jamaican Bacon, Richard Tulloch logging out.